main weapon, like, you know, I don't know how they are called, like thumpers or, you know.
Yeah.
Below them.
Oh. Basically, like, a game designer, they decide what we should, what new features will be added to a game, right? And then once they do that, we programmers are assigned tasks to actually implement all of these new features in the game. So basically, game designers talk about, you know, if we add this to the game, it'll be a better player experience, or it'll be more fun, or something like that. And then they assign programmers and scripters to actually implement it, and then we implement the work. This takes a few days, generally speaking. And then we have the quality assurance department, the QA department. They're the ones who take a look at it and actually tell the programmers if they actually did their job correctly and according to the specifications given by the game designer, basically.
Okay, I think that's pretty good description, right, guys? So, how is your relationship with the QA? Do you hate each other because they come with bugs to you again?
No, because my code is so good that I never have any issues.
Can't break,
yeah, it's unbreakable code. One of the first things I worked on in the game, I can actually show it off here, is I added the voice activation system to the game, which before we didn't have voice activation. We had only push to talk or it was on all the time. So voice activation, I can actually show it off right here. It was this option here. So, you know, you have push to talk, and we didn't have this activation threshold here. And as you can see, when I'm speaking, there's a little movement here showing me the volume that I'm speaking at. And that was added by me as part of adding this voice activation option.
So now it's on. And
now you can actually see here on the bottom left, you can also see when I speak that it pops up. When I stop speaking, it goes away. I'll switch back to just push to talk, but that was the thing I worked on in my first few weeks at the company. And it was a really fun task because, you know, we had an idea of we want voice activation, but that doesn't mean we know what the UI is going to look like, or rather it's not obvious.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of back and forth between me and the designers talking about what can we do, how should it look, and things like that. And that's what I added to the game. That was my first task, and it was really great. It was
I
really
can imagine that, especially on consoles where you have like limited amount of buttons and fingers.
Yeah, I think that's why we prioritized it, because if you wanted to do it on console, if you wanted to speak on console with push to talk, you had to hold down like the D-pad, but that would mean you took off your thumb from the movement stick or from the camera stick, and it was... So that was kind of the targeted audience there. So one of the things about, you know, if you're a game designer, is you need to understand, you need to have a much better grasp of the entire picture of the game. You can't, you know, design something in the ballistics, but maybe it'll completely imbalance the base building, or maybe it'll completely imbalance the central economy if you make this one weapon more powerful, or maybe this weapon's too weak, I'm gonna make it more powerful. Well, great, but now it's powerful early game, but it's still useless late game. So you have to be aware of all of these different systems.
Yeah, like the Nate launcher, like that was discussed before. We know it can be very strong, but for example, on the last YouTube video that we have, that you can check out, which are the highlights from the last stream, like people were commenting like, hey, can you add like, you know, a rocket launcher, like the RPG, you know, and we are like, yes, it would take a lot of time, but we could do that, but you don't want to imbalance the whole game. It's kind of the same thing that people ask for the, you know, grenade launchers that you can have on your main weapon, like, you know, I don't know how they are called, like thumpers or, you know. Below them.
Pro tips. So I tried pretty hard to get into the game industry, and it took a long time, but I kind of went about it incorrectly. So I will comment on so there's there's a bunch of ways to get in, but so one of the common ways is to start out as a QA and then move into another role if you want to. And I think that's how you got your start into the industry.
Yes. I actually joined, like, I finished high school and I was like, oh man, I want to do something that's gonna like be connected to video games.
Yeah.
So I started studying on the university, and in the spare time I worked as part-time QA here. And I was actually testing DayZ, which was very good for me because I just loved the game. I played a ton of it. So yeah, it was nice.
So if you want to get in as a programmer, and if you don't know how you want to enter the game industry, I would recommend going down the programming path because it's, if it doesn't work out, you'll probably be able to get a job in another industry and still kind of work your way in, which isn't the case for other aspects of game development, but in regards to programming, if you want to get into the game industry as a programmer, I went to school. You don't have to as much anymore, but I still think it's a perfectly reasonable path to go do a 3-year or 4-year program somewhere. Just in general programming, like a software engineering.
Yeah.
And then, I recommend just kind of getting your portfolio kind of worked on. I shouldn't say that. I should say, number one, try to get a job, any job, in the not necessarily in the gaming industry, but just in software development. And try to get a job using a language that's used in video game programming. And we know what those languages are. So if you get a job as a programmer using C# or C++, if you get a job using those languages and you work that job for 2 years, then you can apply to a game programmer position and you'll be somewhat qualified because at least you know the inner workings of those languages.
Makes sense.
But the best thing I did was, after spending years trying to get into the industry, and not getting in, I decided to just kind of save up a lot of my money and move somewhere. I quit my current job, save up my money, quit my job, move somewhere where I had a low cost of living. I was able to just work on my portfolio full time. And I did that for a few months. And that pushed my abilities forward a year, like more than a year, I would say. Because if you have a full-time job, maybe you can do 2 hours of programming after work. But if you can do 6 hours of programming or 8 hours of programming per day, because you're living somewhere low cost, you'll really be much more qualified over a much shorter period of time. So it takes persistence, but the good news is once you're in, you're in. So I'm confident that in my experience ever since I entered the industry, when I apply to a role, I am considered somewhat. And every year I work for a game company, I become more and more considered for future roles. So it's really hard first getting your foot in the door, but once you get it in by making some good decisions, you're in for as long as you want to be. So.
Dance of Jesus Florian actually says that if we are about to add leak batteries back into the game, so to Florian I would just say, since you are our environmental artist, just go back to work. Stop wasting time watching streams on Twitch, please.
Yeah,
we need those Livonia changes, and we need them now.
I take the hands. Oh, whoops. Oh, whoops. Wow, my character is weak. Is there a problem if I eat cat food?
I mean, you lose your dignity first and foremost.
Hey, I'm surviving, okay?
I still run away. Wait. So, probably you can take the shotgun, but you have only one shot, one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted.
Yeah.
Mom spaghetti. so either this or Makarov, but I guess this bit. Yeah, this is good. Like, before.
Really?
Yeah, and hold Control. So
yeah, so I'm not moving it. Ready?
Yeah.
Does it have to be in the head? No, I can.
Head or neck. It's. Okay. Yeah. Nice.